Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for listening to the Dumb Dad Podcast. My name is Kevin, and I'm a dumb dad.
Hey, everybody. My name's Evan. I'm a dumb dad.
Cheers.
Cheers to you, pal. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm feeling all right. I'm exhausted.
The people were expecting us to have a back-to-school podcast, and we didn't deliver.
No.
We gave them a mailbag, which we were happy to give.
Gave him a mailbag.
Check it out last episode if you haven't.
I will say this, though. I don't know when people go back to school.
But they want to hear our story. I don't know.
Sure, that's fine.
But
Time to curate it.
Tell them why didn't we give them a podcast?
Well, Kevin, I'll tell you. I got COVID.
You finally got it.
Finally, 3.5 years. Made it 3.5 years without getting it.
Yeah, 3.5.
Yeah, 3.5 years. Didn't get it. And then my wifey, bless her little heart, brought it home. And I'll tell you, here's the weird thing. Wife had it, and that was like, let me see. She tested positive 2 days before or the day before we needed to go back to school. Like the weekend where like the whole weekend plans. The whole weekend's plan is like relax, and if anything, just prep for school. Make sure our backpacks are all organized, and pick out an outfit for the first day, and like all that stuff.
Yeah.
In the middle of that, she got COVID, and then immediately quarantined herself into the bedroom, where she just stayed in there, locked herself in there, and I dealt with the kids, and I was sleeping on the couch in the living room and everything, and we just thought, even though it feels like there's no way we're going to get away with this, maybe she'll be the only one that gets it.
Yeah.
That was not the case. However, and then so I did, prep with them Sunday night, getting ready for school, took them to drop off on Monday, which crushed her, my wife.
Sure.
We were dropping off my son, 3rd grader now, and our little girl who's now in kindergarten. So it's kind of like legitimate school. You're going into school.
First day
of school. It was that whole moment, and taking them to the same school finally.
Sure.
Same schedule across the board, everything. And my wife couldn't be a part of that morning, and I felt so bad for her. I mean, I felt crushed for her. And then, came home the first day, did the whole thing with everybody. And then Tuesday, and then that night, I had the worst night of sleep I've had in a while, because I kept coughing, like a scratch in my throat. Like,
oh God, I wonder what that could be.
I know, but I was also sleeping out in the living room and had the fan on. And I'm thinking I'm just little bits of dust or something like that.
Denial.
Complete denial. Well, because at the same time, I didn't feel that bad.
I'm just sleeping on the couch.
Yeah.
Can't get me. I'm over here.
Yeah.
Nice try.
But in truth, I didn't feel that awful. I just kept coughing. Like it was just like it wouldn't stop. And anyway, so then I wake up, and then like that day, Tuesday, didn't feel great. I was just convincing myself, like, I didn't sleep well. And then at about 4 p.m., I was like, I think I have all my energy is gone, and I don't feel great.
Yeah.
And to be honest, too, since my wife was positive with COVID in the bedroom, quarantining, and I'm taking the kids to drop off, I'm also like, we're all, we've got to test the kids before you bring them back to school anyway. Yeah. They were tested negative, and I tested negative. Even Tuesday morning, I tested negative. And then Tuesday afternoon came, and I felt like absolute garbage.
Yeah.
And that was, I think that was about the 5th day for my wife. So that was essentially her COVID is done, essentially on that Tuesday. And she had felt fine for like a couple days, but she was still definitely testing positive. So she was staying within the CDC guidelines, quarantine yourself for 5 days. So that was day 5. So it was like a great tag, you're it, because I just tested positive for COVID.
Nice little relay you guys are doing.
Yeah. So, and that was our whole first week of school. That's how it started. We tripped into the finish line of summer and all got sick the last week of school. And then we're sick
usually
the first week
it's
of
going
summer.
To school and bringing home some terrible disease.
Yeah.
You guys didn't do that.
No, we just got it done the day of school starting.
Yeah.
And and then Had the worst night of sleep I've had in 15, 20 years. The first night was absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
My heart was racing all night long, like
Yeah.
elevated heart rate, feverish on and off, sweating, coughing. It was awful. I mean, it
not
was like
fun.
the sickest I've felt in 20 years probably.
Yeah.
Luckily, after the vaccinations and everything, it was like that was about it for me in terms of how bad I felt. I felt really bad that night. The next day, pretty awful, just very sore, like my whole body sore, like eye sockets and, like that feeling.
Yeah.
And then through the next 5 days, the rest of their first school week, I was quarantining in the bedroom by myself while my wife did the double duty of single parent mode while working and taking them back and forth, wearing a mask, taking them back and forth because she was still technically. Yeah. So all that said and done now, we are both past our 5 days of quarantine and then our 10 days of like since first testing positive, the 10 days where they're like, you're not shedding protein anymore or anything like that. So here we are. It just feels like what a terrible. We missed your wife's birthday party.
No, we noticed.
We I mean, it was just awful, man. It was awful, and I felt like it was one of those things too. In isolation, in the room, like I'm positive with COVID, and we're doing everything we can, and still, knock on wood, the kids did not get it. Yeah. I don't know how. They still have never gotten it. I don't know how we did it in our little place.
It's great.
Without them getting it. I mean, it
happens.
A blessing, to say the very least. But I mean, that weekend, we missed your wife's big birthday bash, which was awful feeling. And the next night, we had tickets to go see Jerry Seinfeld. My wife got me for Father's Day. We had to cancel that. Yeah. And just in isolation, bored out of my mind in that room. Like, you can only kind of watch so much stuff to catch up on.
Right.
Also, while not feeling great.
Sure.
A couple of my buddies were like, it's nice, man. You catch up on all the movies you want to see and everything. I was like, not really. I mean, the last couple of days were kind of like that. But the first 3 or 4 days, like, it felt so crappy. Yeah. It was like, I don't necessarily feel like sitting up and like ripping through a show that I love and paying attention. It just felt like.
Let's check out this Westworld.
Yeah. What's this show all about? But I finished Ted Lasso. Okay. I watched the Smartless documentary. Which is hilarious. That was a good, uplifting, sort of fun thing to watch that was like, I just needed something to like kind of lighten my spirits. It felt so awful being in there. And listen, we made it a long time. It took a lot more from other people, so I didn't really want to play that game. Still wasn't fun. Contrary to popular belief, it wasn't great.
It wasn't great. And I only laugh because we were in your exact same shoes at the exact same time last year. My wife's 39th birthday was spent in quarantine. And same thing.
Wild. So anyway, that was the first week of school. It was dealing with all of that.
It's a good first week.
Not great. But we got through it. Kids got through it.
Well, I'm glad you guys are okay. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's wild. It's a wild start.
I know. How was the drop-off on the first couple days for the both of them?
My daughter's a little nervous. Like, it was one of those things when we got to the school, then suddenly it hit her, and she got a little nervous, but she was fine. My wife talked her through it.
You're supposed to be the veteran here. Yeah, your brother is nervous, out of his mind. He's never been here before.
God, you've done this for 4 years. She was a little nervous, but then went in and it was fine. My son just walked right in. I was just like, deuces, I'm out. And
see ya. I don't even know if you'll be... or my dad after this. But
here's part of my theory of that, though, is that because I've been on the PTA for the last 2 years, and this is my 3rd year.
Yeah.
I brought him along.
We got to get you fired.
Short staffed. Because I was on the PTA and I was there so much helping out.
Yeah.
Before he was in any kind of preschool, or if it was a day he didn't have preschool, I would bring him to the school. So him and I were walking around there all the time. He knows the place. He knows the teachers. He knows the principal. Like, we've sat in her office and chatted with her for an hour and stuff. So he knows the space and has walked around with me many, many times. It's not a foreign location to him.
He also, I would say, is not the most emotional kid when it comes to that kind of stuff. When we went to preschool and dropped him off, my daughter was an absolute mess for 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
At drop off every day. And every day was you're trying to get your son to even turn around and look at you.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, they got dinosaurs.
See you later. Yeah. Exactly. She was like that as well. Now it's been week 2, it's not so bad. Last couple of days she's been a little nervous, I could tell. But
Yeah.
the first week, every day was tears, dropping off line in tears and waving at us as they walk away. And she's crying the whole way to class.
Yeah, there's always one of them.
It was just like, oh, man. There's a few of them in all the, because they're
There's
all
always at least one in every classroom.
There's always at
That's
least one in every
the
classroom.
line, just looking so sad. Where you're kind of like, just take them in the room.
I know. And because they're kindergartners, they like really make sure they're all there. They wait all the way to the bell. They count, wait till they get, they stand there for a while.
So speaking on that, I remember when my daughter went to kindergarten, it was every day, because my wife doesn't work till 9:30 and I'm whatever I am for a job.
Yeah.
Always we would drop her off and then hang out at the fence, chain link fence, and just wave to her when she looked at us, talk about her, be obnoxious parents. And everyone did that.
Yeah.
Like everybody that could did that.
Yeah. Looking at your zoo animal children.
Yep. So we had, I don't know if I would be curious if your school did this. This is so, it made me giggle. So I went to you had an orientation on the day, which I thought was kind of a terrible idea of your school.
No, it wasn't orientation. We had the orientation. The first day they had us go into the theater, and that's where, because like basically half the people, I would say, had never been to school before. Like they're bringing their first kid, or their first kid there. So it was more like, rather than try to figure out how to have everybody line up outside at a cone and where your teacher's going to be, everything, they bring you into the amphitheater or the theater or whatever, and then all the kindergarten teachers are in there, and then they like welcome you to the school. That's all it was.
Sure.
It was just like, this is our PTA president. She says a couple words. This is a couple people, and then the
we had that on the
principal
Friday.
comes in, and they and then they go, so welcome everybody, and then let's go find your class. And then, so that was the other part too, that, it's like this big.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. That I don't know that that's a great idea. I don't know. I could be somebody might have done a study and it's a great idea, but it seems like a bad idea to be like, I'm coming to school with you. Just kidding. Later, loser. Like, get in your classroom. So we did that on Friday.
Yeah.
We went to the auditorium, the amphitheater. Good Lord.
Man, auditorium was never coming to me. Never. It was never coming to me.
The usher showed us our seats with the flashlights. There was an announcement. Please silence your cell phones.
It was cool getting to come out of the team tunnel.
Yeah, sure.
It was never, man. Lingering COVID brain, not too bad. I will say the one thing that I have now that I've experienced for the last few days, complete exhaustion. Like I get to about 1 and I'm like, I gotta go lay down.
That might be 42.
It could be 42. It's not a great combination.
So we did that on Friday. So when we were on Friday, it was the same thing. It was like I spoke as PTA president, and then they talked, and then the kindergarten portion, one of the kindergarten teachers is addressing everybody, ETK in kindergarten, and goes, and parents, if you could not hang out at the fence, it just makes it harder. And I was like, oh, that's fair.
That's totally fair.
Nobody listens.
I don't know that answer.
I don't know
if it's
the answer.
harder or not. I'm sure for some kids they would much
It's different.
rather.
It's different for every
It's
kid.
different for every kid.
It's different for every kid.
All people are the same.
Our son is the same. Our son is the same as he was in preschool, which is just like, come on, look over here. Look over here.
Just glance in this
right here,
direction.
buddy. Hey, no, he's looking at a bug. Like, doesn't care.
My daughter, and that was another thing too. I felt bad for my wife not being able to be a part of that initial drop off, just being there to support her, because she's nervous. But and it was kind of fine. I was actually thinking the whole time, this isn't too bad. I mean, she's sitting in my lap, we're listening to the people talk. I think part of it was like, and our school is much bigger than your elementary school is. I think part of it was like all the other kids that have been here before, they're going to go to their classrooms from the play yard straight away and everything. And then all the teachers will come and we'll kind of have like a nice, warm, soft, slow burn into the day. And that was all fine. When she was sitting there with me talking, there was one of our friends that we had met at orientation. We sat with them. We found out they're going to be in the same class. We were kind of like, this is cool. We're going to sit together this morning. Sure. And then they said, okay, now we're going to come in line with our teachers, classroom 1 and classroom 27 and whatever, you're going to go find your teachers. And that's when my daughter turned around and hugged me like it was the last time she's ever going to see me. And that is so hard. And some kids have been worse. There's been a little boy that's been there the last couple days now that we're like almost 2 weeks into school, and he's like screaming, struggling. And it's funny too. It's nice to be around parents that feel it, that they think because it's like, I'm sure for the parent, it's like a little bit embarrassing. Like this kid the last couple of days is coming unglued, like completely unglued.
Yeah.
And his mom doesn't know what to do. She's probably thinking like, why is this happening to me? You know, because it's like, it's the attention is all on this kid because he's losing his mind about her leaving. The teacher had to come over and say like, it might be better from now on if you just drop him off and leave because obviously this is really hard. He was like reaching for her through the fence and everything. And all the parents around us were just going, that is really hard on that mom. Yeah. Luckily, because it's just as easy to go like, God, get your shit together. Like it's what it feels like.
Yeah.
I never really had that thought on a plane, but a lot of people have that thought on a plane when a kid is like losing their mind on an airplane and you're thinking like, oh, why is this happening to me? It's like, imagine being the parent of that kid who is scared out of their mind.
And their little ears are popping.
Their little ears are popping. They're having a rough time, obviously. Yeah. The parent is having an absolute rough time of it. It's like, that's part of life, man. Like kids get scared and we all need to be there for them. And I feel
I will
awful
say,
for that.
I mean, you're probably right, but I will counter that with like, yeah, for that mom at the fence, it probably is maybe awkward or uncomfortable. I do know that like, I don't think I cared one way or another about a kid on a plane. I don't think I ever was like before kids. I was ever like, oh goodness. I was just like, oh, that kid's not having a good time. And I didn't think anything past that.
Yeah.
I will say once I had kids, I didn't give a fuck what anybody thought.
No,
like not even in
exactly.
not even in a go ahead, say something, I dare you, which nobody does. But like it was more of a just like, I'm here, I'm dealing with this. I don't even know there's people around me now.
Yeah, and I think maybe less of that feeling, more along the lines of you're worried like, oh, I'm making it uncomfortable for other people. I hope they're not uncomfortable or whatever, you know, like that kind of stuff. But you kind of realize like, man, it's part of it. It's part of having kids, being around kids. Mm-hmm. I feel it that much more than I ever did before. Obviously, with kids, if somebody's having a moment like that with their kid, you feel for them. I think like, man, they would rather not be dealing with that right now, especially in public. But it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. And having one of those kids that is just really emotionally struggling. Mm-hmm. And then I know, like last year when I had asked the preschool teacher, like once she's in the classroom, is it okay? And she's like, yeah. 5 minutes later, we're doing stuff, and she's, you know, the distraction is gone and that kind of stuff. But she just really feels it emotionally that it's like time to say goodbye. This part of us right now is over. You got to go do this thing independently. It's just she struggles with it, and I just feel for her. I wish I could say or do something that helps her understand that it's all going to be okay. You wish you could fix it immediately. You just got to build up the strength and build up the confidence by going to school every day, knowing that I will be here. I will come back.
Leave you every day.
I'm going to leave you every day intentionally on purpose.
Are you pissed that we have a 4-day weekend coming up and it's just going to reset her little brain?
Yes. It's like, we did this last year too, and I don't know if, maybe a bunch of school districts are like this around the country, but like, you know, you just get into the rhythm of like, okay, we're in school, and then it's like 4-day weekend, and it's like, God,
it's once again.
Why? What is this tease?
It's once again that switch flip of like, I remember these days vividly from a child's perspective, and it is a different opinion. She's like, we have a 4-day weekend. What? And that's not our vacation? Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And then we're like, why is Friday closed? Why are they closed Friday?
Teachers. What are they observing? What are they? Did they just had a whole
Labor Day Monday doesn't really make sense because it's Labor Day. But okay, yeah, that's not apparently not. But sure, Friday.
Those posts will be coming soon. Don't worry about that.
So yeah, school's going well. The kids are going through it. My daughter she's really good. She comes home, she does her homework right away.
Yep.
And it's funny because I think, you know, she's doing well, which is nice. I mean, it's the beginning of the year, but I'm seeing that wild new math that everybody's talking about.
Second grade is now real school.
Yeah.
Whereas first grade, it feels like a warm-up year, sort of.
Yeah.
Kindergarten, sort of like that, but first grade is sort of like, this is real school now, where you have stuff to do. You're paying attention.
Real. They were doing real math.
For sure, but I think second grade is where it feels like, okay, now it's time to like, we're really focusing on the growth experience and everything. And now third grade, we're like we're in upper elementary school over here.
It's pretty wild. I was doing a new math. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
I looked at it as a person with ADD. I was just kind of like, all right, I get this. Like,
Yeah, I know.
this is similarly how I did math in my head. The fact that you have to write it out is insane, but
Still insane.
I was a
but
mental math person, so I was never good. I always got in trouble in school because it would just say show work, and I was like, the work's right there, and it would just be a bunch of dots next to the problem
I know.
because I would just stare at it and tap the thing in my head as I was doing like multiplication or whatever.
I know.
And they were like, show the work, and I go, is the answer right? Do you see the dots? Then I show, this is the work.
Yeah, it's my work. Like, what's funny about it is like now as the adult, having the kid go through it and everything, I identify. My son does the same thing. He writes the answer down. There's a little bit of scribbling on the side, maybe or something, but he also understands it well enough to where he can do most of it in his head.
Yeah.
But I feel bad for him because I was the same way. It's exactly how I understood it, so I did it.
Yep.
And I was done with my homework or whatever. And then it's like show work. And it's like, as the parent explaining to him, it has nothing to do with whether or not you got it right. It has everything to do with the teacher understanding that you understand
Right.
how you're learning how to do the math,
Right.
learning how to get the right answer. Because there's a few different ways to get it, but you're learning this specific way to get to the answer. And
Right.
she wants to see that you can do that. And that's all that is. It's so funny because as a kid, I did not agree with that. Like, as you're saying, like, I got it right. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
But it makes sense to me, absolutely, as the adult and somebody who is also always, constantly wanting to teach your kids things. Like, you want to make sure that they understand the way that everyone is doing it. And the only way to really, for the teacher to know that, is for you to show that you're doing it the right way. But it's
totally. We're not there yet. My daughter's showing the work, so I think it's funny. But I am looking at it going, here we go. Here's the new math everybody's been joking about. Let's see it. And I looked at it. I was like, all right.
What?
I get it. This just seems like a way to make math longer.
I was one of my favorite subjects in school until like about late high school, when it was like, there's more letters than numbers now. This isn't math anymore. I don't like this. There's more letters here in this problem. There's a math problem. Looks like unscramble the problem.
So you sounded like a dad when you were in high school?
Sound like a dad when I was in high
There's
school.
more letters than numbers. This isn't math.
That's how I felt. I really liked it until then. My wife, maybe she's a very smart lady anyway, but she's very, very much math brain, like very, very smart when it comes to math. And she even a couple times is like, reaching out to other parents going like, so what? Because it's such new concept stuff.
I know. I had to check my daughter's.
That you're
So
like,
she got homework for the first time this week.
Thank God for Google.
Yeah. My daughter got homework for the first time. She didn't get it the first week of school. She got homework and she just came home and did it. And I was like, oh, nice. Freebie. And she's been doing it all week. And I was like, great. And then to her credit, I might tell my son, he gets home and he's not going to have homework. He comes home and he immediately is just like, can I watch screen? And I go, not until your sister's done her homework, which doesn't seem fair. But I was like, this will take 8 times longer if there's any devices on.
Yeah. We're doing the same thing. My daughter does have stuff at kindergarten, but it's just reiterating like,
yeah,
my
daughter had it at kindergarten.
Color all the squares.
Mine's an
that kind of
ETK.
stuff.
It's in preschool, basically.
Yeah. So it's nice they both sit down at the table now, and
that's what it will be.
and then my son distracts himself for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
He's trying to just do 2 sheets of work, and
But
it takes 2 hours.
But I remember my daughter gets her finishes her homework, and she's like, all done, and I was like, great. And she starts to put it away, and I go, oh, let me check your homework for you. And she's like, okay. And she hands it to me, and I was like, all right, okay, hold on. I was like, hold on a second here. Okay, that's how you got to there. Okay, so we're doing it. I'm assuming you did this right?
She's like arm folded, toe tapping.
Yeah.
Come on, figure it out, dummy.
So assuming this is the way you're supposed to do it, you did it right. You could have technically, if you've done all of them wrong,
You're consistent if nothing else.
I don't know how to help you.
But it's not hard enough math problems where you can look at it and do it in your head and go, well, that is the answer.
Yeah. No, the math is easy enough. I do know the right answer, but my point is like the formula with which they want her to get there.
I know.
We were talking about. I don't know if that's. I was just like A plus 2 is 10.
She's like
bringing
back her homework.
Why is there a car engine here? Like,
she's bringing back her homework. It's all right. Showing work, and the teacher's going, "What are all these dots?" So my dad was checking my
dad
work.
was doing my work. Yeah, it works.
Yeah, that's great.
8 plus
Good
2,
job. Yeah.
10.
Your way is also correct. My way is, I also got the answer.
Yeah.
Correct.
I wrote my way is better and signed it, put it back in our folder.
She's like, tell your dad he needs to work on his handwriting.
Yeah.
I can't even read this.
That is true. We'll get into that.
It's good to be back. I love having him back in school. Part of me, because the schedule, we need the schedule. Having somebody else helping with the children. But I also miss them immensely.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a weird way, again, going like into the school year, how we chose to go into the school year this year. Wouldn't recommend it. Was weird. Like I was feeling that like, man, we only have like 2 days left. Man, we only have 1 day left. And that's it. Now they're just in school again and I don't get to see them for major portions of the day.
Sure.
So I struggle with that as well. I miss them immensely.
Uh-huh.
I need them to not be at home.
Okay. I was like, what are you talking about?
But I do. It's both for me. It's both sides of my brain.
No.
I really do struggle with it on some days where I just think like, man, it just sucks that they're not here.
No, I know what you mean. We're back to doing. We get to do it for 2 years now, which is fun. But my wife and I are doing something that we did when my daughter was in kindergarten. So my daughter didn't go to ETK or anything because it was deep COVID.
Yeah.
So we just kept her home, no school, whatever. And then kindergarten. So they have a different playground than the main part of the school, and their playground is on the corner, and it's the chain link fence where we drop them off.
Yeah.
So at least once a week, my wife and I go for a walk. Oh, do you feel like going for a walk? I feel like going for a walk.
Would you say like right about like
right, 10, 15?
Like 10, 15
Yeah,
sound like a good time to go for a walk?
10, 15. And it was funny
And
because
I don't know. I like birds, so why don't we bring some binoculars? Because
we dress like every character that's undercover in a Marvel movie, just like a baseball cap and sunglasses, and it's like everyone knows who you are.
You don't need the nose and the mustache, but it's
it's fun though.
it's fun.
It tickles.
It's fun.
So I'm giggling the whole way. So we were walking, and yesterday we did this, and going for a walk, and we're like, okay, there's my nephew, and there's my son. We're like, oh, that's fun. No, some days they're playing together, some days not. Well, yesterday the son was playing, the nephew was playing, and he was near the fence, and I was like, oh no. And then they're like, we're the opposite side of the street. We're not that dumb. We're walking right along the fence. We're on the opposite side of the street, and we're walking, and I see him look at me, and I was like, keep looking forward. He's looking at us. And I like glance over, and he's just tracking us. And I was like, this is a bad idea.
It's worse now because he knows you.
Yeah. And
you're intentionally ignoring him.
And then he started calling out to us.
Yeah.
He's like, Auntie, Uncle. And I was like, don't. Just keep walking.
What have we done?
Hola. And then that'll throw him off. Oh, it's just a different couple. They look similar. So we texted my brother and sister. We're like, hey, sorry. He didn't get upset or anything, but he definitely saw us.
He definitely tracked us.
Yeah. We're going to do it again. It's fun to do. It's fun to watch them play.
You just need new outfits.
Yeah. We have to burn that whole outfit.
Your wigs.
So our cover's blown. Got to burn it, get our new Jason Bourne passports out from behind the mirror.
You have 5 passports on
Yeah.
you.
Why do you have different passports?
Yeah. So that when we
Security,
get, so that
when
when
they
somebody
ask us questions, duh.
Yeah, that wouldn't be suspicious
Yeah,
at all.
at Hold on, let me pick the right passport. You brought all 5 with you?
I don't know where I'm headed, man.
Worse.
I'm waiting for an assignment.
So school's going well. We're doing well.
We're in it.
We're in it. We're having fun.
We got back there.
Dumb dad moments.
Let's move on. Let's move on to the dumb dad moments.
To the dumb dad moments.
I got kind of a fun one.
Okay.
And
COVID?
Yeah. Got COVID.
Yeah.
Dumb me.
Dumb dad.
Yeah. So we, in the midst of all this, like later into the summer, one of our routines we loved doing before COVID was going into, we had memberships at the YMCA.
Uh-huh.
And even they had like a little daycare there. So when my son was in school, I'd bring my daughter. It was like part of my routine in the morning. Go drop the kid off, bring my daughter with me, who, she was like 2, and take her to the little daycare there at the Y.
Did the same thing.
Get the workout in. Like, it was just like such a nice little routine. And then that was all interrupted. And so we've been talking about it recently. Like, it'd be nice to get back into, obviously not the exact same routine, but it'd be nice to be members at the Y again, start swimming lessons again. So we've been doing that for like, we've been doing that for a couple months now. Love it. Again, the kids are doing very well in swimming lessons. They're comfortable in the water. They're doing so well. They're leveling up every time. It's been great.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of, and we'd go do swim, and they would do swim lessons, and I was like, I used to love going and doing like a lap swim as my workout, and so that's what I started doing in the last couple weeks. My wife and I both were scheduling lanes, or like reserving a lane at the Y, and then going and doing our swims, everything normal. You can do it on the app. You book your reserve your lane or whatever. And then we got a notification saying that we have been suspended for inactivity, basically for reserving lanes and then not showing up.
Oh, shit.
So we got suspended from the Y for being able to reserve anything for 2 weeks. So
you got your permissions taken away?
I got my permissions taken away from me at the YMCA.
Why didn't you go?
I did.
Okay.
We were there.
Okay.
We reserved it on the app and then knew the times and then went and swam and came home. And I think what we didn't realize was there's a way that you're supposed to show them that you're there for your reservation, which we were not doing.
Did you check in? You scanned in when you came in the door?
Yes, but that only allows them to know that you're in the building. But of course, you may decide not to swim, or they don't know.
Oh, sure.
So we had to ask them last couple days ago when we took the kids to the swim lessons. We were like, so our account's been suspended. We don't know why.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, there's like a tablet when you walk in that's there that you then sign in there specifically that I'm here for my reservation. You can still beep your app to get into the Y, which you still need to do, but you specifically at the front desk go into their tablet and confirm that I'm here for my lane reservation, which we were not doing. So we got in trouble from the Y and got our abilities revoked and suspended because we were just
You're not working out enough.
showing up, doing whatever we wanted. And they didn't know what was happening. So that was kind of a little bit of a tough dad moment there, not realizing that we probably should have said, is there like a protocol? Should we do something? Should we sign in? No, we didn't do that. We were just showing up like we own the place.
Whoops.
Whoopsies. So
be better.
If you have a lane reservation at the Y, or probably wherever, find a way to check in.
Be good about it.
They be good about it. They appreciate that.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Whoops.
It was an accident, but still kind of a funny dumb dad moment to get suspended and get in trouble from the YMCA.
That's funny. My wife and I, we reserve lanes as well. And we couldn't reserve one yesterday for today. And we were like, it was full. I was like, all right, fine. We just go to the gym, run and work out. And I'm like in the weight room, which has a huge window where you can see the pool. And I just see like 2 empty lanes. And I was like, you sons of the burgers didn't show up again.
The best part is like when you get the notification like you're suspended because you're not showing. I was like, we were there.
Yeah.
Check the footage. Hopefully you're not filming people in the pool. We were there.
I was in the shower for a long time. Look at that footage.
I know you got that.
No, we checked that footage. What do you mean? So yeah, my dumb dad moment. All right, so this dumb dad moment is not necessarily is not appropriate for children. So if you have children listening, we're going to be discussing a certain collector of children's mouth bones.
Okay, I see. Wow. As if they weren't scared enough to leave the room already.
I mean, I was thinking about this earlier. I've thought about this a lot. How is it that like there is a horror movie that came out, I think in the early 2000s, maybe the late 2010s, where the villain, the monster, was called the Tooth Fairy, and I was like, yeah. What was that movie in the 80s? Like, we're making all these creative characters of like Jason, his mom drowned him, and now he's wearing a mask, and Freddy's a burn victim with lawn shears for fingers. The Tooth Fairy.
Where is it?
It's already there.
The Leprechaun was one.
It's a woodland sprite that collects your children's bones. So anyway, my daughter.
Well, to be in all fairness, it's a bartering system. So you gain something. It's not like steals them out of their mouths. That would be weird.
But they made a horror movie, The Leprechaun. And it was about if you take his gold, he's going to murder you aggressively. It could be this idea of like you give a tooth fairy a fake tooth, and now she's going to,
and yes, he's sticking with the green outfit.
Yep.
It's a uniform.
It is inappropriate, but that is exactly what he wore. And it's like, oh, wow, we got that right. Not as fun as I thought. So my daughter finally, like, we've been bringing her to the dentist, and I've been like, what's going on here?
Why are they still in her mouth?
Because the dentist was like, yeah, looking at her x-rays, everything's fine. And I was like, what do you mean everything's fine? She's still got her baby teeth. Like, where last year, like, all of her classmates looked like they were in Fight Club.
My son, who's only a year older than she is, has lost 11 teeth.
Yeah.
And has had an expander and braces and had the braces off. And like,
He's a show off.
he's
a show off.
He's a go-getter.
So
he's very tight. He's in tight with the tooth fairy.
So we were just kind of like, what is going on? Like, she still has, like, she lost 2 teeth. She's lost 2 teeth, and the adult ones have since grown in.
Yeah.
And we still have all these other ones hanging out, and we're like, what are we doing here, guys?
The ratio seems off.
So I said to the dentist, I was like, what do we do? Because her front teeth were wiggly and now they're not. What's going on there? And she was like, this is so gross. Kids' mouths are so gross. Kids are gross, but this is gross. This is extra gross. I was like, what happened? And it was like, well, the roots of her baby teeth have dissolved. They're gone now. I was like,
yeah,
okay. And then that's why it was wiggly. And I was like,
okay, that's gross. Next part of the question.
Dissolved to where? Like a Listerine strip? Remember those?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I used to have those when I went to see the Tooth Fairy movie. So she's like, so her adult teeth have jammed down and now locked her baby teeth in place. And I was like, gross. That's so gross.
So it's a pressure fit situation right now.
Yeah. So she's like, just start wiggling them and like have her just play with her teeth and they're going to fall out. And I was like, gross. Okay.
Okay.
So we did.
Do you validate?
And lost one front tooth almost immediately. Like within days. It was like wiggle,
she
wiggle.
Sneezed and shot it across the room.
Yeah. Right in between. It's not a pockmark on my cheek. It landed wedged in there.
Wedged into my cheek. Oh. Congratulations.
So she lost that tooth, and then Tooth Fairy came. She put it in. So we have a little pillow, a little heart, a little tooth-shaped pillow with a little pocket in it. You put the tooth in there.
Okay.
And then my wife, I know other parents do this. We didn't invent this, but my wife started this tradition of, again, this children should not be here for this. So my wife started this tradition where she writes a letter.
Yeah.
From the Tooth Fairy.
A little note.
Not everybody does that. We do that. We think it's a fun thing to do.
We do it as well. Does she write it super tiny?
No. She just writes a
big note.
Yeah, the Tooth Fairy hugs the pen with both arms and then just flies. Really. That's why it's in cursive. So she doesn't have to lift the pen that much.
Right. Yeah.
So
hurt her back.
Yeah. No, she's really strong. Horror movie. She can lift adults. So she writes the letters, and then the letter goes in there with the money, and this transaction is fulfilled. What she's doing with the teeth, I don't know. Is it Pop Rocks for her? I don't know.
Don't want to know
what she does.
Imagine how many she has. I mean,
like, is her
fortress of
house made of teeth?
Pass.
Does she have a TikTok account where she does like one of those like polyurethane on a table and it's just children's teeth? And then it smooths out, and you're like, oh, and it shows a bunch of people like fake drinking coffee going, 5 out of 5. I don't know. So anyway, so she loses the second one a little while later. I mean, that one was just hanging on for dear life. I mean, these teeth were all just kind of just like it looked like if she was upside down, Russell Crowe's hands would go through it like it was like a field in Gladiator. And it all just kind of like blowing with the wind. It looked like if I wrote like a phone number on it, you could just rip it off for like guitar lessons. Like, that's what her mouth was starting to look like.
Yeah. Free guitar lessons.
Yeah.
On a tooth.
Oh. Do you want this back?
Yeah.
So we get the last one out, and she puts it in her pillow. She goes to bed. My wife and I stay up watching some shows, and my wife loves to fall asleep watching TV.
Whatever favorite pastimes.
One of her favorite pastimes. Let's watch this show, and then I have to
For 10
be
minutes.
paying attention to when she's sleeping, so that I can turn it off. Because then it's like, you kept watching, and I was like, I didn't know you'd clocked out for the night. You got to pay attention. So anyway, as she's falling asleep, she says to me, "Oh, can you do? Can you make sure Lucy gets her money for her tooth fairy?" I was like,
Yeah.
absolutely, I will. So she falls asleep, and I think she even goes to bed, and then I stay up playing video games, and then I was like, all right, now you got to get to it, because now we're like in that weird area. It's not super late at night, but they've been asleep long enough where they could wake up to go to the bathroom or want to come sleep in our bed, and it's like, you're getting dangerously close to that, man.
I've felt going in for the swap
Yeah.
some of the most nerve-wracking moments.
It's awful.
It's so scary.
Because you're hovering over them. Of course, they're never. I've seen my daughter sleep in ridiculous ways.
Yeah.
Son, the same way, but we're not at the teeth portion yet. But I've seen my daughter sleep in absurd ways. But every time I need to swap out a tooth, she is nestling up so cute, and her head is perfectly on top of that pillow, perfectly pressure sealing down that tooth, and her face is towards me.
Those eyes open, you're screaming and running.
I'm just sitting there, and I've got one hand sliding under her pillow slowly, but I've lowered my body enough that if she opened her eyes, I'd be like, "Hey there, just wanted to see you.
Just look. I just watch you.
Just wanna
Did you
watch
know that I
Because
watch
this
you?
arm
I
is like
watch
out of
you.
sight, so she can't quite see what this arm's doing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm prepared for I'm not
Oh, yeah.
I'm not a bozo. I know what I'm gonna do here if this goes sideways.
I may be dumb, but I'm not stupid.
I mean, I'm pulling out the pillow, and then I'm like, it's down because she's on a bunk bed. Now my son's probably seeing all of this because I'm holding it down by my crotch, and he's on the bottom of the bunk bed, so he's like probably going, huh. So that's how it works.
He's witnessing the whole thing.
No, he's out cold. So I'm scooping out scoop out the tooth. You put that in your pocket. Go make sure
Yeah.
you don't forget about that. And then I wrote a letter, and we cut it out in the shape of a tooth. Like I did everything my wife did, except I wrote it as if the tooth fairy was on the subway,
Drunk.
in a volcano during an earthquake.
During a hurricane.
Yeah, but I did it. I put the money. I put a note in. I
Yeah.
put it in her tooth bag, and then I put it back under her head. Aha! Nailed it. Good night, children. Crushed it. I go to bed. I wake up, and my daughter comes like running out of her room as we're getting out of bed, and she's like, I'm going to show you guys what I have. And I was like, let's go check it out. And then I walk over, and she climbs in the bed, and what's on her blanket but a letter from the tooth fairy that I did not write. So my wife was asking me to put money in there. She'd already written a letter but didn't put it in the bag. She had just like placed it on her bed.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't know this. This wasn't communicated to me. But now there's two letters with two very different handwritings. So I reach under her pillow, and I was like, oh, interesting. I reach under her pillow, and my daughter goes, no, I want to grab it. And I was like, no, I know. And then my wife, who doesn't know what's going on, just goes, what are you doing? And I go, nothing. I just seeing something. And I'm doing this thing with my fingers where I'm like pinning down the pillow as I'm sliding out with two fingers, like pin the paper to like toss it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, slide. And like both of them are now yelling at me. Going like, what are you doing? I want to do it. I was like, I'm going to let you do it. I'm going to let you get the money because there's only money in here. There's definitely not another letter, obviously. Why would there be two letters? That's insane. Yeah. And then I hear the bang of paper, folded paper hitting the floor. So I did it. I threw it out and it fell down the back of the thing. Nobody else noticed. And I was like, whew.
Except for your son, who has witnessed now every moment of this.
Like,
and he's
huh. Both in on it. This is wild. So then it hits, and then I go, oh, a wave of relief hits me. But then, oh no, a wave of panic hits me again. I put the money in the letter, folded the letter. The money is in there. So now I have to reach down and I have to grab the money real quick, stand up. My daughter, luckily, is still sitting in the bunk bed, so she's not seeing any of this. My son is like somewhere else watching, playing with dinosaurs. I grab the money, put my hand now back under the pillow. They both start yelling at me again. And I had to I don't know what to say.
The best part about all this is is this one of those things where you think you're getting away with all of it, but it's like so clear what you're doing the whole time.
No, everyone was confused. Nobody knew what was happening.
You just needed to create chaos.
Because my wife didn't see the paper fall, because where she was standing, she didn't see the paper fall down, so she didn't go, oh, I see. She was just kind of so I put my hand back under it, and she goes, what are you doing? And I think I just yelled nonsense at her. And I go, can you just trust me in the things? And then I
It's one of those things you expect your partner in crime
please
to trust you in the moment, and she's just
understand. I'm going insane. I'm doing something on purpose.
There's a reason for my actions.
So I'm stuffing the money in there. I get it in. And I was like, sorry, I just wanted to make sure the pillow was there. I wanted to make sure it didn't fall behind the bed. And they were both oh, my wife's you're being so weird. And I was like, we'll talk about it later.
You're through your teeth. Wait till you get the explanation of this. Could you just calm down?
Well, I wasn't getting too mad at her because in my brain, I was also thinking, you know what she's probably thinking right now? I asked this idiot to put money in there. And he did it.
Yeah.
And he's doing it now at the last minute.
So she's still yelling at you though? Rather than...
So it was because I think she was more confused. I don't think she actually did think that. I think she was so confused. What are you doing? Your daughter said she wants to do it. Why are you doing it?
Yeah. Because I'm a control freak. Because I'm a control freak.
You guys want to open her Christmas presents? What is happening? So daughter gets it. She gets the money. She reads the letter. I grab the other letter and toss that in the garbage. And then we left the room and I was like, here's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. I was waiting for that moment.
And then I was like, you told me to do the thing, and I did the thing. I wrote a letter, and then I wake up this morning, and there's a letter on her bed. She goes, well, of course I'm going to write her a letter. And I was like, then why did you do the money?
Yeah, you went in there. You went in there and put the letter down, but decided against the money.
So it was dicey.
That was dicey.
It was a
dicey
close call, but we got out of it, man. We got out of it.
You think until the next time this happens, and she's going to make some comment where it was very obvious.
Yeah, it's the next morning. The next time she loses a tooth, and the next morning she's going to be like, all right, I'm going to check on your pillow. Dad, do you need to put money in there, or did you already put it in?
Little brother told me the whole thing. That is fantastic.
It was wild. It was pretty...
That's about as poorly as it can go without it going wrong.
Yeah. So that is my dumb dad moment.
That's pretty good.
Of the week.
That's pretty good. Parenting is not as easy as it looks on TV.
Nope. So, guys, if you have some back to school, YMCA, or tooth fairy related problems, please
you do.
let
Don't
us
lie to
know.
yourself.
We have another mailbag coming out soon. We already recorded it, and we'd love to keep them going. We have other people who've been giving us their parent submissions. So email us dumbdadpod@gmail.com, or you can DM us on Instagram. Our handles are @thedumbdads. That's our handle on all platforms. So follow us.
And this is $199.
This is $199.
This is episode 199 of the Dumb Dad Podcast. And episode 200, we are going to be doing live on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You can follow us on Instagram for more of those details. We'll be posting that in stories.
Yep.
How to watch that, how you can get involved by sending us questions. If you want us to answer anything in the beginning portion of that podcast, you can email us dumbdadpod@gmail.com. Please put it in the subject, 200th episode, and we will have a great time. We're going to do the Hot Ones Challenge. I'm so nervous. I don't want to do that.
We're going to do the Hot Ones Challenge. Check it out.
We're going to do the Hot Ones Challenge. Check it out. Thanks for hanging out with us. You got a back to school joke. You ready for it?
All right, let's hear it.
Why was going to school so much easier for cave people?
I don't know.
There was no history to study.
Oh. Probably didn't know math either. They really didn't know English. Why'd they go to school?
I don't know. And what were they doing there? They just said to start somewhere. Fire? Wheel making.
Why reinvent the wheel? Okay, bye. Welcome to the world, little one. Welcome to life.
How do I stop this?